Hi, good afternoon, guys. Um, in chemotherapy chapter, as per your syllabus, for the continuation of antibiotics, today in this class, I am going to explain about the quinolone antibiotics. So, as usual, before going to the subject, we have to see what are the overview contents about in this chapter. So, I have listed the some of the major links. Those are the things is going to discuss about in this class. So first one is introduction about the quinolone antibiotics. Then what are the different types of classification, particularly based upon the drug and spectrum, different spectrum. Then as per the classification, we are going to discuss about the individual drugs. So first thing is going to discuss is first generation quinolones. Then what is the mechanism of action? For entire, how we can see the in beta-lactam antibiotics. So entire beta-lactam antibiotics is having same mechanism action. The same manner in quinolone antibiotics also, it's having only one mechanism of action. Even it is first generation drugs or second generation drugs, all those drugs is having only one unique mechanism actions. So I am going to explain about detail about that mechanism of action. The second one is second generation quinolone antibiotics. So that drugs is simply is called as fluoroquinolones. It is nothing but it is a um, fluoroquinolones are it's a served as a second generation and third generation and fourth generation quinolone antibiotics. Because its first generation quinolones, it's having a very limited actions against some specific spectrum strains. So substitution is going to happen on the sixth position and seventh position on the quinolones. So particularly is going to addition of fluoro groups, fluorine groups on in quinolone derivative, quinolone drug. So it's called as fluoroquinolones. So based upon the introducing year, they are classified into second generation, third generation, fourth generation drugs. So I have included some major important drugs from those category. The next one is whatever we have seen in antibiotics, definitely the bacteria itself is going to produce some resistance action. So what are the resistance mechanisms is working against these drugs? Then finally, it's include some urinary antibiotics. Sorry, urinary antibiotics, because the mostly the quinolones drugs are it's used as used in the treatment for UTI. So some urinary antiseptic drugs also is combined with this quinolone and drugs. So what are the drugs means? These are I have enclosed two important drugs. One is nitrofurantoin and another one is methenamine. So these are the two drugs. It comes under the urinary antiseptic. This subunit is going to combine with the quinolone antibiotics, because most of the quinolones drugs is effective against UTA case. So for those reasons, I have included the urinary antiseptics in this subject, in this chapter itself. So next we can go for the individual slides. So the first one is introduction. The quinolones are very effective but is expensive antibiotics. So you just imagine that situation. The first antibiotics, famous antibiotics was penicillin. So the penicillins are when they was introduced, that time it's very effective against only on gram-positive organism, and also it's having some side effects like anaphylactic shock and allergic reactions. So those times none of the antibiotics are available to specifically active against gram-negative bacteria. So for those days, this quinolones is very effective drug. It's introduced particularly against gram-negative bacteria. So it is very effective against gram-negative bacteria. When compared to those drugs, is very expensive. Even nowadays, so many fluoroquinolones are available. It's very effective against both gram-negative and also gram-positive also. So what the thing is that the frequent usage of antibiotics definitely is going to produce the resistance. The same manner, these are limited drugs are quinolones first generation drugs are only one drug, nalidic acid. So frequent usage of the drugs, it's easily produce the resistance. So the drug is become more common, and also nowadays these are the drugs is not act as a first line treatment. So it's always given with some other antibiotics combination therapy only it's going to useful. Apart from that, some specific cases it's also used for individually. So those are the things we can see in further slides. Yeah. So next we can go for the classification. Yeah. So normally the antibiotics are classified based upon the generations. Introducing here, they are classified into first generation and second generation. So here also the scenario is same. First generation drugs are highly protein bound nature. Mostly it's used for urinary tract infection, UTI infection cases. But the second generation drugs, later drugs, second generation, third generation, fourth generation drugs are, they are nothing but it is just a modified first generation quinolone drugs. It's not highly protein bounding in nature. So particularly not only it's used for UTI, apart from the UTI case, it's also used for some other infection also. So it's wide distribution to urine, and apart from that UTI case, it's also distributed in some specific tissues also, and even it's enter into CSF, but it's very limited. So the drug wise, the first generation drugs are nalidic acid. The second generation or third generation drugs are, I have listed out the simple manner. So you have to memorize at least 3 or 4 drugs for this wise. Otherwise for individual generation you can memorize at least 1 or 2 drugs from individual generation. So the major drugs I have listed here, the first drugs, second generation drugs are ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, norvofloxacin, levofloxacin and sparfloxacin. These are the drugs is very commonly used under second generation or third generation drugs. So based upon the spectrum, so it's classified here. So generation wise and drug name and spectrum wise. So the first generation famous drugs are nalidic acid. It's very effective again. It's very effective again gram negative bacteria, particularly Pseudomonas species. So gram negative means it's mostly used for urinary tract infection, because most of the urinary tract infection is caused by gram negative bacteria. So nalidic acid is very effective against gram negative bacteria. So it's used for those days. It's only used for UTI infection. So the second generation drugs are, the important drugs are norfloxacin and ciprofloxacin. Particularly the ciprofloxacin are most famous drugs. Still it's useful for various purpose in nowadays. Norfloxacin is nowadays is used for the dysentery case, amoebic dysentery case. It's a combo therapy. Norfloxacin, tinidazole, it's available. So ofloxacin and ciprofloxacin, it's available for the OTC. It's available in OTC market. So it is used in the eye infection and ear infections, those cases. Apart from that, it's also used to ciprofloxacin, particularly it's used for the upper respiratory tract infections. Still it's available in the tablets is available to treat the respiratory tract infection, and also ciprofloxacin drops are available for ophthalmic purpose treatment. So it's effective against the gram negative and gram positive bacteria. The third generation drugs are, important drugs are levofloxacin and moxifloxacin. These are the 2 drugs are very important drugs. It's same as extended of second generation drugs. It's very effective against gram positive organism. And 4th generation drugs are trofloxacin. Same as 3rd generation, it's effective against broad organism, broad spectrum activity. So particularly anaerobic organisms also is going to treat with this antibiotics, 4th generation antibiotics. So still now we have seen the introductions and classification, all those things. So the next one is we can go for the first generation quinolones. The first generation quinolones are nothing but the drug is nalidic acid. So it's act as a urinary antiseptic. Particularly it's used in the treatment for urinary tract infection, urinary tract antiseptic. So that's the reason it's called as urinary antiseptic. Apart from that, it doesn't having any systemic antibacterial effect. So it's having only antibacterial effect on urinary tract. So That's the reason it is called as urinary antiseptic. Apart from that, it doesn't having any antibacterial activity except UTA case. Particularly in systemic region, it doesn't having any antibacterial effect. So you have to just memorize that. If a urinary tract infection means mostly the UTA case it's caused by this organism, particularly the gram-negative organism. The organism specific is E. coli, either E. coli, otherwise L. bacilla. These are the two things is very quite common bacteria to cause the UTA. Particularly E. coli is very most common organism to cause the UTA. So the mechanism is, for simple mechanism, single line mechanism means you just memorize that it's going to inhibit the DNA gyrase enzyme. If you don't want to explore more detail, what is the DNA gyrase, what is the role, what's the mechanism in DNA replication, it's very tough to memorize. Means at least you can memorize this single line mechanism. This drugs, entire quinolone drugs, it's going to inhibit the DNA gyrase enzyme. That is enough. So apart from that, kinetic wise, it's available in the tablets. Oral absorption is good. Metabolized in liver. It's produced after metabolism. It's going to produce active metabolite. The half-life is around 8 hours. Some common ADRs are headache, vertigo, visual disturbances there, and blood dyskaryosis. Particularly the leukocytes is going to affect. Leukopenia is going to produce. Photophobia is very rare. And contraindicate with infants. It's not prescribed for the infants. Treatment wise is mostly used in the treatment for UTI cases, urinary tract infection. So the next one we can go for some deep into the mechanism of action. So the mode of action is this quinolones antimicrobials is going to bind with a subunit of DNA gyrase. So you just memorize that. First you can memorize that it's going to bind with the DNA gyrase. So what's the role of DNA gyrase in DNA replication? Means it's going to prevent the supercoiling of DNA to inhibit the DNA synthesis. You just you no need to confuse that. It's going to inhibit the DNA gyrase. What is the role of DNA gyrase? Means it is essential role in DNA replication process. What is the role? Means it's going to prevent the supercoiling of DNA. During DNA replication process, supercoiling may occur, not may, it might do occur. So those case, it can be rectified with DNA gyrase enzyme. So our drug is going to inhibit the DNA gyrase, means that supercoiling it can't able to rectify. So the DNA replication is going to affect. So that's a mechanism. So the spectrum wise, I said it's mostly effective on gram-negative bacteria. It's mostly used in the treatment for UTI cases. So resistance, I said as I said earlier, it's very common, quite common to create the resistance against this drug by bacteria. So next we can go for some deep mechanism. So before going to the deep mechanism, so this picture we have already discussed in initial classes. That means basics concepts about the chemotherapy during DNA cell cycle. What is exactly happen? What is DNA replications? So what is the important role? What are the different enzymes is going to involve? So you just memorize this picture. Otherwise, I can explain in a simple manner. So you know that during cell cycle process, the DNA is going to multiply. That means DNA must be replicate. Then it's going to donate it into the next offspring. So for those purpose, the DNA is going to replicate. So for those case, the double stranded DNA is going to split. Then it's going to replication. That means the elongation, the splitted strand. It's going to create the opposite strand. That means it's going to two different. Once the chain is going to cleave, one side is going to leading strand. Continuously, that nucleotide is going to addition. The chain is going to elongate. In opposite side, it's a lagging strand. It's made tough because the DNA primer, the nucleotide addition is going to happen on only one direction. So for those cases, it's take a time. So it's called as lagging strand. It can be overcome by primer and so many things. Here you just focus about that. During the cell DNA replication process, the first enzyme itself, our target enzyme, DNA gyrase. The DNA gyrase enzyme is act as a very, very vital role in DNA replication process. So what is the role? We can see in next slide. You can see here, we know that the bacterial DNA is a circular DNA because it never condensed like in eukaryote cell. In eukaryotes, the DNA is going to condense and it may be wrapped with histone protein. It may be present on the nucleus. But in bacteria, it doesn't have a nucleus. It's just scattered on the cytoplasmic region. And also the DNA is like DNA is not condensed, so it's available in a circular DNA. So for DNA replication process, I said first the chain is going to split. Then only it's going to replicate. The chain elongation is going to for two individual strand. Then finally it's going to become a two DNA chain. Then it's going to divide into two different cells. That's a concept. So for those process, the first the DNA is going to cleave. That is the first step. So you just imagine, you can see here, the double chain once is going to splitter means it's going to create the overwind regions. That means you just imagine if you take any rope, maybe the rope is made by the three or four individual threads. So if you want to remove only one thread means, you can see here in bottom of the rope, it's having, so overwinding is there. So the same manner, the DNA chain also, once the chain is going to split, two strand is going to split means, in bottom side it's going to become a overwinding is that's called as positive supercoiling. So the during DNA replication process, the two strands must be separate. So during separation process, it's produce excessive positive supercoiling. It's called as overwinding. So this overwinding is one of the complication process. It may affect the DNA replication. So this problem must be resolved. So for those case, our DNA gyrase is going to the action. So you can see here, this is a DNA gyrase enzyme. So it's having a two subunit, A subunit and B subunit. Individual subunits having unique role. Particularly the slicing and nicking of the DNA chain is done by the DNA gyrase subunit A. So the DNA gyrase is responsible for continuously introducing the negative supercoil of DNA. That means during splitting, it may produce positive supercoil. So it can be overcome by this enzyme. This enzyme is going to create the negative supercoil. So you just imagine the same rope case. Once the winding is happen, what you can do the negative supercoiling. It's to make a state. Then only you can remove the individual thread. The same manner, the DNA gyrase, it may produce the negative supercoiling to avoid the overwinding, to disturb the DNA replication process. So both the strands of DNA is cut during the process, and the portion of DNA is going to breaking and reseal. Nothing. Here what happened during overwinding is there, the DNA gyrase is going to bind with the DNA chain. It's going to cut the strand, then is going to reseal the strand. So it's during that process, it may going to the produce negative supercoiling. So nothing but is going to reattachment from this side to this side to the in opposite side. So because of that, it's going to resolve the positive supercoiling. So apart from that, in some of the quinolones is having a dual mechanism. So the first one is, as we know, as I said earlier, it's going to inhibit the DNA gyrase enzyme. The same manner, you can see here, it is a circular DNA. During DNA replication process, it may cause the positive supercoiling. So the DNA gyrase is going to split the chain and is going to produce negative supercoiling to overcome the positive supercoiling overwinding. So apart from that, it's having another one mechanism. It's also is going to inhibit the topoisomerase 4. But that action is not, mechanism is clearly described. But apart from that, in second generation and third generation drugs, it's also effective against this mechanism. Topoisomerase 4 also is going to inhibit. So this is the mechanism. The next one we can go for individual drugs. Quinolones. So mechanism we have seen. The next one is quinolones. Yeah, these are the major drugs: narfloxacin, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, levofloxacin. These all those things comes under the second generation and third generation drugs. The mechanism is same. It's going to inhibit the DNA synthesis to inhibit the DNA gyrase enzyme. Apart from that, it's going to inhibit the dopamine isomerase 4 also. So it's produce a rapid effect. That means very quick actions. So post antibiotic effects is going to working based upon the concentration wise. Whenever you can increase the concentration, the efficacy also is going to increase. So the mechanism action, as I said earlier, the same thing is going to inhibit the mechanism DNA gyrase enzyme. So it's very effective against the strains are Pseudomonas and E. coli, and resistance is may cause due to the mutation of those enzymes. So the concentration wise, very high concentration when compared to serum, it's more than serum concentration. It's available in more in such kind of tissues, prostate tissues, stools, and bile, lung, neutrophils, macrophages. Very minimal amount of it's available in the some regions, particularly prostatic tissue fluids and bone and CSF. When compared to serum, these are the regions having very less concentrations. So kinetic wise, the absorption of the quinolones is going to hinder by the divalent and trivalent metal ions. So particularly the aluminum, magnesium and calcium ions is going to inhibit the absorption. So those who are patients taking antacids, it may affect the drug absorption. Apart from that, it's going to metabolic enzyme inhibitions, particularly the cytochrome 450 inhibitions. That enzyme is very essential for the metabolism of various drugs. So once you are going to affect those enzymes, this enzyme cytochrome P450 mediated the enzyme inhibition for some other drugs. So it may produce some kind of drug interactions. So adverse effects wise, the in GA, nausea, vomiting is common. In CNS, dizziness, confusion, insomnia, delirium, hallucination, seizure also is very rare. In cardiovascular regions, it may produce tachycardia. Particularly, it's called a Stardust G pointers. So it's nothing but it is a polymorphic ventricular tachycardia. And skeletal muscle wise, it's producing inflammation on tendons. So it may produce a rupture. And neurological, it's produce the polyneuropathy. So apart from that, as I said earlier, it's produce the antibacterial effect based upon the time dependent manner and the concentration manner also. So how much time you have maintained the plasma concentration, that much effect it's going to produce against those organisms. So apart from MAC, the time and dose is one of the important factors to produce antibacterial effect. So next we can go for fluoroquinolones. The first drugs are ciprofloxacin. So it's a broad spectrum antibiotics, is very effective against gram negative, and it's going to act on wide range of organism. The mechanisms, as I said earlier, simple manner you want to write, it's going to inhibit the DNA gyrase enzyme. Particularly, it's going to bind with DNA A chain. It's going to prevent the resolving of positive supercoiling. So some deep manner, what is subunit? As I said earlier, the same thing. It's having a two subunit A and B. The subunit A is responsible for the nicking and sealing of DNA. So to making negative supercoiling to overcome the positive supercoiling nature. The subunit A is responsible for nicking the DNA and responsible for the resealing also. Nicking and resealing it's done by the subunit A. So our drug, the ciprofloxacin, is going to specifically is going to bind on the subunit A. Because of that, the nicking and sealing is going to affect. Negative supercoiling is never going to form. So due to the positive supercoiling, the DNA replication is going to stop. The cell cycle is going to prevent. So the bacteria is going to die. That's a described mechanism. The ciprofloxacin is available in the oral formulation, and also it's available in injection and drops to treat various kind of infection. So it's mostly is used in the treatment for upper respiratory tract infection. Also it's used in the treatment for UTI cases also. And ophthalmic, it's available in the ophthalmic formulations. And it's available in the it's available in the eye drops and ear drops to treat the various anaerobic infections. So it's very it's active against the anaerobic organism, is poor. It should not be a first choice of respiratory tract infection. Yeah, as I said, the ciprofloxacin is having a role to treat the respiratory tract infection, but it's not act as a first line. That's a problem, because the organism is very easily to cause the resistance mechanism. So it's always is combined with some other antibiotics, which may produce a synergistic effect, otherwise additive effect. Yeah. The ADR wise, the fluoroquinolones is going to block the inhibitory neurotransmitter, particularly the GABA. So you guys know that what is GABA, what is the role of GABA in CNS. So the GABA is one of the inhibitory neurotransmitter in CNS. So once the fluoroquinolones drugs is going to inhibit the action of GABA, means automatically the CNS is going to excitated. So so it's very high contraindication with the patients of epileptic patients, those who are having already epileptic problem, otherwise under the treatment for anticonvulsion therapy, means contraindicated with fluoroquinolones, because it's going to block the GABA action, means automatically the excitatory function is more. So for those cases, if you are a convulsive patient, take the fluoroquinolones, means it may cause the convulsion. Otherwise, the patient is already taking anticonvulsive therapy, the patient is taking some anticonvulsant drugs, means that times also the treatment is going to inefficacy. So it's contraindicated with anticonvulsant drugs. So apart from that, it may produce allergic, some kind of anaphylactic reaction. And it's going to possible to damage the cartilage growth. So it's not recommended for the pregnant women. So it's because it's going to affect the fetus development. The drug interaction wise, as I said earlier, it's going to alter the function of cytochrome P450 enzyme. So because of that, it is going to affect the metabolism of various drugs. So the ciprofloxacin is an enzyme inhibitor. It's going to the liver enzyme inhibitor. The enzyme I said cytochrome P450 enzyme. So what that thing is there? So what are the drugs? It's metabolized by those enzyme. The drug is never metabolized. So the efficacy is going to increase. So particularly the drug is warfarin. So is one of the high contraindicative drug. So the warfarin may produce the anticoagulant effect. So this drug is not at all metabolized, means it's going to make cause the high therapeutic actions. It's lead to the extension of the pharmacological action. It may produce side effect. That means it started to bleeding because it's having anticoagulant property. So it's very dangerous for those cases. And apart from that, it's also interact with antacid, sucralfate and ion salts, because our drug is going to complex with the divalent and trivalent metal ions. So it's never is going to absorb, it's never going to produce the actions. So that's a thing. So uses wise, therapeutic uses wise, it's used in the treatment for UTI, urinary tract infection, gonorrhea and chancri, bacterial mediated gastroenteritis, typhoid fever. So ciprofloxacin still is is used in the treatment for typhoid case. And apart from that, some kind of infection in particularly bone and soft tissue and gynecological infection cases. Respiratory ciprofloxacin still nowadays is used for upper respiratory tract infection, and also is used in the treatment for gram negative mediated septicemiasis, systemic infection. It's poorly enter into the CSF, even though it's used in the treatment for meningeal inflammation condition and conjunctivitis. As I said earlier, it's available in the market as a drops ophthalmic formulation to treat the conjunctivitis. So these are the major therapeutic uses. So apart from that, some additional points I have mentioned here. The same thing, administration, it's effective against the gram negative anaerobic bacteria. It's poor activity against the pneumonia organism. So treatment we have already seen, it's used in treatment for wide range of organism. Particularly it's used for the nosocomial pneumonia. That means hospital occurred infection, pneumonial infection, and intra-abdominal infection. Same thing, gastric entities. So unique qualities we have seen in last slide itself is going to bind with divalent metallions, is going to lose the efficacy, and in drug interact with warfarin. So ADR, cardiovascular problem, we have already discussed. So the next we can go for the third generation drugs, levofloxacin. So it's available in the oral formulations and also it's available in the IV formulations also. So the spectrum wise is very effective against both in gram positive and gram negative organism. So particularly Staphylococcus aureus and methicillin resistant organism. Particularly SA, those are the organism. Staphylococcus aureus is resistance against methicillin's organism also. That kind of organism also is going to treat with this levofloxacin. So indications, it's very useful in the treatment for upper respiratory tract infection, the chronic bronchitis, inflammation case, then community acquired pneumonia, CAP, simply it's called as CAP, community acquired pneumonia case, and nosocomial pneumonia, hospital acquired infection, STD, sexually transmitted infection case, and same gastric entities, intra-abdominal infections. For those cases, we can use this drugs. So unique quality wise, the same, it's going to bind with the divalent metal ions. So it's contraindicated with antacids and iron supplementations. The major ADR is it's going to fluctuate the blood glucose level. So it's high risk. Otherwise, drug monitoring is mandatory in the diabetic patients. The same manner, the CVS problem is same, is a continuation here also. Is going to prolongation of QDC. ECG curve, the QD interval is going to elongate. It may produce the arrhythmiasis and polymorphic ventricular tachycardia. Then kidney damage, it may produce the nephritis also. So the third generation drug is moxifloxacin. So it's also available in the formulation, both oral and IV formulations are available. So it's very effective against the gram negative bacteria and some minimal effect on gram positives also. So it's used in the treatment for TB. That is important. It's also used in the treatment for TB case. And same, it's effective against the various pneumonial organisms. Indication wise, the same thing, it's used in the treatment for respiratory tract infection, particularly CAP, community acquired pneumonia case, and conjunctivitis, sinusitis, respiratory sinus problem, inflammatory and sinus problem, and conjunctival inflammation case also, it is very useful. Scenario is same here. It's going to interact with divalent metal ions, so drug interaction with antacids and iron supplementation. So this drug is mostly, it's not preferred for the those who are having less than 80 years, because the safety and efficacy is not assured for the adults, those who are having less than 18 years. So the major ADR is same continuation here. It may produce a fluctuation on the blood glucose level. Cardiovascular problems are same, remain. Infection also, nephritis also same here. So the next one is we are going to see the resistance mechanism. Yeah. So the next one is resistance of mechanism. So as we had discussed earlier, every organism is capable to survive. It's going to resist the organism. So as I said earlier, so every organism is capable to fight against the antibiotics for the survival mechanism. So the organisms once is affected by antibiotics means is going to become more and more potent to against those specific antibiotics. So that's called as a resistance mechanism. So here how this resistance is going to occur. The first one is as usual, it's a mutation is going to happen. So the particularly some membrane proteins is going to mutate. So what's happened, this antibiotics is never enter into the cell, and also once even it's enter means it's lead to efflux of antibiotics through the cell membrane through porins. So what's happened, this antibiotics is not at all is going to target the DNA gyrase enzyme, because for action drug must be enter into the cell, then it's going to act on DNA gyrase. Here after mutation, the antibiotics has been effluxed by the bacteria, so it can't able to produce the action. The next one is the mutation of the specific enzyme. So as far as we have discussed, the first one, the quinolones and fluoroquinolones is going to target the DNA gyrase enzyme. The next one is topoisomerase 4. So those enzymes mutate themselves, so it's become more vulnerable, so it's not going to affect by the quinolones. So for those case also, the drug can't able to produce the efficacy. So that's one of the mutation resistance mechanism. So the next we can go for the urinary antiseptics. So what is urinary antiseptic? So urinary antiseptic means nothing but these are the substance it's produced antibacterial effect on urinary tract. So it's called as urinary antiseptics. So the first drug is nitrofurantoin. So this drug is very effective against gram-negative bacterial mediated infections. So we know that mostly the urinary tract infection, UTI case, it's caused by the gram-negative organism, particularly E. coli. So our nitrofurantoin is very effective against gram-negative bacteria. So it's going to eradicate the UTI case. So what the mechanism means? So it's nitrofurantoin is going to metabolize, is going to form a reactive intermediate. So that means it's going to produce the free radical, nitrofurantoin free radical. So that reactive intermediate, it's going to produce the bacterial DNA, damage the bacterial DNA chain. So nothing but this nitrofurantoin is going to metabolize, it's going to produce the active metabolite. That metabolite is having reactive intermediate. That means it's free radicals. It's going to form a free radicals. So those nitrofurantoin free radicals is going to damage the bacterial DNA. So automatically the organism is going to die. That's a concept. So kinetics wise, it's available in the oral tablets. Oral absorption is good, and it's excreted through the unchanged form in urine. That's a thing. During elimination only, it's produced the urinary antiseptic action on the particular urinary tract. So for this case, we must to maintain the urinary pH, particularly the acid. You have to switch over into acidic urine nature. So then only the drug is going to produce more effective actions. So acidification of urine is very mandatory. So for those cases, we can give any weak acidic drug to become to convert the urine into acidic in nature. The TF is 30 to 60 minutes. The propensid drug is going to inhibit the tubular secretions. So we know that the propensid the same is going to eliminate with tubular secretion method. So it's going to compete by the penicillin. We have seen in penicillin chapter. So instead of penicillin, the propensid is going to eliminate. The same manner here also, the propensid is going to inhibit the tubular secretion. So it's going to reduce the eliminations. So contraindicated with renal failure patient, pregnancy case, and neonatal cases. So these are the cases very high contraindicated with this nitrofurantoin. The ADR is GA upset, then allergic, peripheral neuritis, inflammation on peripheral neurons, Then liver damage in long-term use. Chronic use, it may produce the hepatotoxicity. One of the major important precaution is mandatory to the patients, because this nitrofurantoins, it's eliminate as a free radicals, I said. So it's metabolized, is converted into the free radicals. So that's free radicals capable to inhibit the bacteria, gram-negative bacteria. So when it's going to eliminate through urine, that time it has been oxidized with natural oxygen. So the urine is become tan into black color, dark brown to black color. So this information you have must be passed into the patients. No need to panic about this kind of symptoms, though it may caused due to the oxidation of nitrofurantoin free radicals. So once it's oxidized, it's turned into brown and black color. So that's a reason. Therapeutic use wise, it's very useful in the treatment for UTIs. One and only it's used in the treatment for UTI case. Particularly it's effective against E. coli. The dose is 50 to 100 mg. Thrice in a day or 4 times in a day you can use for 5 to 10 days. And it's used in the treatment for, it's used in the prophylaxis treatment for the catheterization process. During surgical procedure, they can go for the catheterization. So for those cases, it may produce UTI infections. To prevent the infection, for prophylaxis manner, they are prescribed the nitrofurantoin. So the next important drug is methenamine. So actually it is a hexamethylene tetramine derivative. Mechanism is, here also you have to must be maintain the acidic urine, then only the drug is become activate. So in acidic urine, the drug is going to decompose. It's going to release the formaldehyde. It's going to release the formaldehyde. That formaldehyde is going to inhibit the bacteria. What are the bacteria is present on the urinary tract infection? No, that kind of bacteria has been killed by the formaldehyde. So for those cases, same thing, you must maintain the pH below 5. So to maintain the acidic pH, you have given some kind of additive drugs like a mannalic acid or ascorbic acid. So these are the weak acid to maintain the acidic pH. Then only the methenamine is going to activate. The activated drug is going to release the formaldehyde. That formaldehyde is going to produce the antibacterial effect on urinary tract. So it's entry coated tablet to protect the effect on GA. This is because it's the same in acidic condition, so it's to prevent the damage on GA nature. So it's available in the entry coated tablet. It's you can based upon the case, you can give the drug 3 times a day or 4 times a day. But another one important indication is that, so for this therapy, the fluid it must be restricted. The patient is never allowed to drink more amount of fluids, because the concentration is become loose. Whenever you maintain the concentration, because it's based upon the concentration is producing antibacterial effect. The person is taking more amount of fluids, means that's also is going to eliminate through urine. That time the concentration of the drug is going to dilute. So to prevent the fluid consumption. And mostly it's used in the treatment for chronic resistant type of urinary tract infection. Mostly we know that if a urinary tract infection means we can use for first case nalidic acid, otherwise fluofloxacin, nitrofurantoin. So if any organism is resistant against those kind of drugs, means for those case we can use the methenamine. It's very effective against resistant type of organisms also. The ADR wise, same thing is produced gastritis and chemical cystis, unique ADR. Then hematuria, it may cause hematuria. Blood is going to eliminate through urine, and occasionally it's produced CNS effect. The contraindication wise is produced renal damage. So it's contraindicated with those who are patients already having kidney failure, means contraindicated with that patients. And also it's going to contraindicate with hepatic failure cases, because this drug is going to produce ammonia. The ammonia, then Endogenous ammonia's own synthesis means it must be converted into the urea by liver. So in hepatotoxicity condition or chronic liver failure condition, the ammonia can't able to convert into urea. That time the ammonial concentration is more, it's enter into the systemic circulation, it's going to the CNS, it may produce some CNS disturbance like a psychotic episodes. So it's very dangerous too, it may cause the fat, it may cause death also. So it's very high contraindicated with those patients. The sulfonamides, it's produce antagonistic action for this methenamine because it's going to eliminate the drug. So it's contraindicated with sulfonamides. So that's all. So here itself I can so that's all. This is overall quinolones antibiotics. So first we have seen the introduction about the quinolones, then classification, broad spectrum, narrow spectrum, and So first we have seen the introduction. The second we have seen the classification based upon the generation, first generation and second generation. Then next one is based upon the classification we have divided the first generation and spectrum wise also. Then first generation quinolones, nalidic acids, what's the mechanism we have seen? The mechanism is going to inhibit the DNA gyrase, particularly subunit. Because of that, it's going to prevent the resolving of positive supercoiling. So the DNA chain is elongation, replication is going to inhibit, the bacteria is going to die. That's a mechanism. Then next we have seen the fluoroquinolones, second generation and third generation, fourth generation, third generation drugs. Ciprofloxacin, important drugs are ciprofloxacin, levofloxacin and moxifloxacin. And the individual pharmacodynamic kinetic properties and ADRs, all those things we have seen. And resistance mechanisms, which way it's going to, the bacteria is going to resist the drugs. Mutation is going to happen on the either porine, cellular membranes, otherwise specific enzymes is going to mutate, means it's going to lose the effect. So finally we have seen the urinary antiseptics, particularly it's used in the treatment for UTI cases. The drugs are nitrofurantoin and methenamine. So both the drugs is produce the very effective against gram-negative bacteria which cause the UTI case. So nitrofurantoin, it may produce the free radicals. It's going to metabolize, is going to produce the free radicals. Those free radicals is going to affect the bacterial DNA. So it's lead to antibacterial effect. In methenamine case, it's going to convert into the formaldehyde. The formaldehyde is going to kill the bacteria. So for the both the case, we have to must to maintain the acidic urine nature. For those, you can give the weak acid to maintain the acidic pH. So these are the things we have discussed in quinolones antibiotics. So that's all. So here itself I can wind up the session. So in next class we have seen some other antibiotics.